Good evening. This is the Anime Analyst, and I am your host, Thomas Fry.
And I am your co-host Hasnan Zadi.
And we are here on this Friday evening that we normally do, where we take and do an entire series of an anime instead of just a season or what's new on the 5, 6, 7 episodes. Tonight's anime is Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. And for all the Japanese people out there, I apologize for butchering that, but I practiced it, and it's just different when it's a reality when you're trying to do it. We are bringing you an extremely popular anime tonight. This thing in popularity is ranked at 96, and its overall ranking, current ranking right now, is 219. Crunchyroll has it up around in the 30s. This is a popular anime, so I was looking forward to taking the 30 minutes tonight, and we're going to talk about both seasons, 51 episodes. And this is an isekai, adventure, drama, fantasy. It's also a reincarnation. It was done from a light novel. It is a rated R, which I'm not really sure why they needed the rated R on this one, but yeah, you can't always tell what these people are thinking at the ratings office. They have um, they listed the reason for the rating R, and they're calling it violence and profanity. And even with that, with the animes that we've seen, I really don't see a big deal about violence. And I mean, there is a few cuss words, here and there strewn throughout, but not really that many. I would think they could get away with calling this thing PG-13 plus, that intermediate one that they use in the movies every once in a while. They might as well call it PG-15, you which don't none of that stop people from going to watching something anyway if they want to see it. Most of the time, if the kids like it, the parents do like it, you tend to like what your parents like. um yeah, there's some exception to that, but anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell on us. And just a real quick announcement, we will have a get to know us show tomorrow. We'll be live on YouTube, same time, same bat channel, same bat airwaves, and me and Hassan will be here to talk to you, introduce you to us, give you some insight on our personal lives, the reason we do what we do, and whatever and whatnot. So let's get back to, what's your first impression of Jobless Reincarnation?
Okay, so the first thing I think it is rated R because there is a difference in the violence that I have seen in this anime. Like when they fight or like they fight with the sword, and when it cut through somebody, it show very clearly like from where they entered, and they have a clear picture. Like most of the animes, they don't show that thing. The sword swings and the person died, but in this season I saw that it is pretty clear, like it's entering the skin of a guy from here and it is going, like it is very clear. Maybe that's the reason that's rated R.
I'm down with that. Now that I think about it, on some of the fight scenes, they do show some blood in this, but to me, it's not connected because they're not showing the wound and the blood coming out. When they show a little blood dropping or coughing up blood, they're usually panned back to where it's not a direct in your face kind of thing. But uh, how are we to know the minds of the people that get paid to do this? Because they're white collared people that wear ties and suits to work and have no concept of what a good story is. Because I don't know about you, but almost all the movies I've seen, I would have rated most of them differently. And I'm just in shock on the nudity that they show. And is a PG-13 nudity now. It just blows my mind. It was different from when I grew up. But hey, whatever. That's
Yeah.
you definitely are right on that one.
And about the anime, I would say like it stand for its rating and the ranked. I think it's define it. Like it is nothing something like that people will go and like or don't like. It is a good story. The character building is good, and the start is good. How he died there and he has the memories and he's trying to do something different here. All the things that he learned in his past life from that thing and how he started.
If you're talking about his bringing his depression with him and the fact that he went through some pretty traumatic events at his high school in his previous life, and I mean that would affect anybody if they strap you up butt naked in front of the entire student body to a fence line. I mean that's gonna it, kids commit suicide for a hell of a lot less than that, and that is immensely traumatic. And he deals with it, and he does a good job. His first master gets him out of the yard, gets him past those blocks, and lets him start. And then all of a sudden, he's dropped into thousands and thousands of miles from home in the middle of a demon continent where there's very little food, very little water. Thank gosh he can just magic some water, and cold and hot spigot also. He can do both temperatures. That's not something you normally see. But coming back across the demon continent and kind of the whole season 1 on this thing was him getting back home, and that takes some gumption to go that far, and they get with someone that everyone says is the worst person in the world, turns out to be his friend, and helps him get back all the way across. The part that always got me, that I was always kind of curious at why they did, is why did they make him miss his master when they were in the same story? He's walking down that,
Yes.
that alley with the bucket of food, and and then she passes, and I think it's all because of the, oh my gosh, Alina Elise. I had to think of her name for a minute. With her curse going on, driving Roxy crazy in that city when they got off the ship. And I think that's why they missed. But they didn't catch it until way later into the second season. And this is finished airing, and it has been since 2021 on the first season, and the second season was later, but we're still over a year from when they first started putting out the second season to they just finished it up here recently, which it kind of spread out from I apologize for that. I do not know why that popped up in the screen. But this is one of those animes that really give you a lot of backstory and really give you a lot of how somebody did something. It's okay knowing that, okay, this person got dropped off in the middle here, and then 2 minutes later in the same episode they show up 1,000 miles away and problem solved. Oh, that was rough. Well, okay, but we don't get that it was rough. I mean, me as an audience member, I love how they spread this out and showed how hard it was and showed what it was. Sorry, our stage cat decided to jump up and do some stagehand stuff that I asked her to do earlier, but she tried to do it right
maybe
there.
maybe she wanted to meet some people.
Maybe she was just wanting to show off for the audience. That would not surprise her. And by the way, my cat's name is Asuna. So, and for those of you who are real anime fans, you will know which anime that is from. And if you don't know what anime that is from, then shame on you. You need to watch more anime because it is from a very popular anime that has, I think, 6 seasons to under their belt. And it's another long one like this. When we go to talk about that show, we'll probably have to do a marathon one with that one because I don't think I could talk about that one under 2 hours. I really don't. I mean, there is so much to talk about, and they did everything. It is done in the same format that Recreation was done in. They explain everything. They give you lots of backstory. When you're done watching this, it leaves you with the feeling that you understand the trials and tribulations that that Rudius has gone through, and the struggles that and in dealing with issues that if I traveled and walked, mind you, they're not jumping in a car like we do and driving across the country. They walked across the country, gets with the girl. He's thinking he's in heaven. He's a man. He's going to marry this chick, and then walks back in, and wow. What a blow to your manhood. I mean, not even so much as on the night after that long of a trip, man. That is some cold. I hope, and season 3, if they come back out, Eris is going to be in it because that would bring he with him having 2 wives and a settled home life and everything the way he wants it. Oh, well, that's just too perfect for an anime. You gotta how would you mess that up to where you could do another 25 episodes? What do? Throw Eris into the middle of it. That story would not end. You could just keep going and going. And I know I'm getting too long on the first season. What would you say your favorite part was? Oh, okay. So we'll get back to that right now. We got a little bit of noise on the backside of the story over there. So why don't we take a little rundown? Roxy McGurdia, okay, one heck of a teacher, even though she doubts herself, doesn't think she is good enough, but has Rudius starry-eyed, and she takes him and gets him to leave the property, go out there, and that the outside world's not so bad. He doesn't need to be afraid. And that's probably my favorite part in the first in the first eh, yeah, I can talk tonight. Yes, I can. The first season. I couldn't think of the word. All right. So we'll get back to saying on what his part of the first season was, and let's jump ahead to the second season where they did a good job at giving you different characters that traveled with Rudius in his different travels. They did not just, it's the same 4 people from the beginning to the end and build a harem. No, that's not what this is about. This is an actual story, and people come into your lives, people leave your life, and they did a really good job with that in this anime. They had people come into his life, and he would interact with them, go through a few episodes with them, maybe 5 or 6, and then they would part from his path that he's walking, and he would meet someone new. And the only part it left you hanging for a little bit more was when it was him and Alina Lease going from, I call it Pepperville. I think it was Pottersville over to Renoa University. Um, that whole trip lasted, I think 3 minutes in a single episode. He did all that, and they wanted to get down to showing a lot of Renoa University and what that what that meant for him in doing the investigation that the man God told him to do to help him get past his impotence and to get to bring the next set of characters into it, to bring Sylphiette back into his life. And we hadn't seen her since episode 3. um so it went a while, and then she's back into it, and that one probably got me the most, was bringing her back into the mix. And then you take the next step, and now Roxy comes back into it. Roxy was right there in the beginning. Actually, Roxy was there before Sylphie was. Um, so now you've got to me, I like when directors take the time to to get it right, to put the people around them the way they should be. Um, I was just very impressed with this. So, all right. Um,
Okay, can you hear me?
yes, I
Sorry
can
for
hear
that.
you. Thank God, because I was trying to do two things at once. I had something happen over here, and I got quiet for a minute. I apologize for that. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so about this season, like if I add my input, I really like how they. Sorry about the background noise. Okay, so
Boy,
the thing how they started, the
go ahead.
character how they start and how they introduce the each and every character and how everybody fits into the story. Like there is nothing where you can see that the season or anime is too long. Like even if they add more episodes, I think they can justify that. And how he is getting more people on the way, the and I think this is something close to a reality, like where some animes have a single guy who's just he see a girl and he is not thinking about it, but this is staying to the reality. Like he has first his crush in the childhood, and then he found the second one which left him after the one night,
Yes.
and then he tried for the second one but he couldn't do anything. Then he guy take him to some place where he can get help for his thing, and that didn't work. And how he start talking about that girl and then he gets slap on the face. So like how they place the scenes, how they add to the story, and on in the last how he get married to that girl. And it was funny like seeing like he didn't recognize her and he's just sitting beside her, because I think of the hair color and she's confused, and how she recreates the thing from their childhood where he doesn't know that she is a girl, and he undress her to give her a bath, but then he realized, oh, this is a girl, and then she take him out for look of for a flower, and she creates the rain, and they go into the cave. I think this anime is really good.
I wanted to read something on. It was written by someone else. It's it explained that this anime, it is an unusually immersive show with a mixed bag of hilarious and dark moments that will keep you entertained throughout the whole course of it. They really hit that one right on the head with that. That really explains everything about it. There's a lot of light moments, but there's also some dark moments about it, and I I don't know how to explain whether or not I thought there was maybe a little too much dark to it, but as long as I would say it's 60% dark, 40% light, because he goes on Flashback City, and this is a I don't self narrative um where you get the backstory in little pieces as it's going along, and you know he has the man god. Okay.
Yes, the man.
I don't know whether to yell at the writers or praise them, because they wow, they really, I don't even know how to describe this, but it's this dude in all white bouncing around, doing hip thrusts constantly, bobbling his head, and yet he's a god. And it, it's not your typical god. It's not what I've ever pictured as a god. And he's just cracking on everything, and that kind of was a little bit of a shock for me. And then when you look at, if you sit back from this anime and look a little bit from the overall, this whole thing is basically a pissing match between two gods and three gods and a hero, which you don't see, but the man god, one of the gods. You don't see any of the others, but the very few there was one reference to actually no, let me take that back. There were three references to the hero up in the castle. Nobody thought he was alive. It was a bedtime story for most people, but those people and their little fight and pissing matches that they have direct the whole story beginning to end. Because it was one of them that caused the event that created this, the Mana disaster, and it was that same one that put the spears in the hands of the not Orsted but Ruijerd and his clan. It was this hero that I don't know if he became a god or what the whole thing is. I like to see if I can figure out what's the story behind the story in the way they tell the story, because this is from a light novel, so this is from a book, and you got a beginning to end, and you got a whole thing. Well, they can't show all that in anime, but they can portray how certain points of this. So as you're watching this, if you pay attention, you will find out that you got the dragon god, you got the man god, you've got the hero sitting up in the floating castle. They make that one reference to it in one of the episodes. And when it gets closer towards the end, you can start putting this together. And then it goes back to where it shows him building the next section of his life, where basically a regular human in this world hitting their 20s, you buy a home, you get a wife, you get some kids, and all that came fast because the kids were his sisters, and she ended up being pregnant. But then he's got that last family member they got to go get. And I thought, honestly, when they were leaving to go down there, I was like, all right, they're going to come back up and spend time in the new home, and all that. But then all of a sudden the dynamic changes. So now you don't have dad around, you have mom around, but also mom is sick. And I don't know about you, but if I was frozen in ice for 6 years, I might have you're going to have some mental issues with that. It's not going to be, it's
But
not going to be a walk
like
in the
if
park.
we see in the second season, that is the one thing that pull him out from his depression state. Like he started to get copulal there so his mom can find him when he started helping people like on the road. So he thought that maybe his mom can find him, like if he
Yeah.
hears about that him.
Well, that was the whole reason he was on that northern route, was to spread his name so he can, and then come to find out, which, if you go back on the if you take a look on the upper level of the story, Roxy finds out that his mom is in Boynet, or whatever it was called, in the southern continent, right as he's missing. So he totally misses finding out that all that northern travel that they planned for was kind of for naught. As far as finding his mom, it was perfect that he went that way, because that gave the rest of the story, that took him back to Sylphie, that took him into the school, all those things that happened. His um, first time, with the girlfriend that was almost, I guess, the girlfriend that never was, with her, and then, that causes a depression. And then he gets to Renoa. He's there for over a year, and then all of a sudden he gets the call to, he's like, man, I'm going to be gone almost 2 years. He's worried. My kid's going to be, do I go save my mom? Do I stay for my kid? And then, Nana Hoshi comes up and says, oh, no, no, I got shortcuts. You could be down there and back in 4 months. He's going then. And then he goes down there, and he loses a father but gains a mother, and actually loses a father, gains a mother and a wife, and comes back, and everybody ends up at the house that no one told him to buy the big house, but he just had a feeling to buy the big house, and glad he did, because now there's a lot of people that are staying at that house.
Right.
Because he's not gonna let them stay at a hotel, depending on how long his dad's party stays there. However long they stay, he'll have them. He's got enough
And
rooms in that house.
like they have announced that the season 3 is coming.
Yeah,
So
they
that
have announced
that would.
season 3, and I think that is the season of Eris again. I mean, you throw her back into the mix, and it's gonna be uproar in the Gray Rat house. I don't foresee that going very smoothly, but I'm kind of curious. I'm okay with that happening. I'm ready to see it. But that's what's going around, as far as what is gonna one aspect of what's going to be happening in season 3. I haven't seen an over public announcement, but I've read it in the news. But and don't get us wrong, when they announce a season 3, that doesn't mean that everything's going to go perfect and it's actually going to happen. And I've learned this the hard way. I There's anime I've seen up to episode 5, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared. I mean, they had a full 12 schedule season, and maybe one of these days I'll go back and look through my history and see if I can't find the ones, because there's 2 or 3 of them. They're good animes, but for some reason or another, I don't know what happened in the offices, because it's happening in Japan. So if I was in Japan, I bet you I could find out. But not being here in America, I can't find out what happened and why they didn't finish doing that. why they didn't finish doing that anime. So, but I do hope they do come through on a season 3 on this. This is a
Like
really
they
good
can follow
story.
the footsteps from the season 1 and season 2, so like it will be something like that, and it bring to the more popularity, then it get lost again.
And you notice this one is one of the only animes I've seen where the storyline has, like, I mean, if you take a storyline and say it's railroad tracks, there are some switchbacks and some switches and driving up, and most of the time they go right down the track. No, the tracks on this turns and has outliers and has bends, and you go on different tracks. And I love these kind of animes, and I hope that we get to see a bunch more of them. And so I give this one a 2 thumbs up. How about you?
And I would suggest to the audience to watch this if they haven't watched it. But I don't think there will be people, but I think there might be some people who missed this one. But I would say like
Well, there might be
it
some
is.
people that didn't see the whole thing, or maybe not know they've already done a second half of the second season, because the second season was split up into two
Yes,
sections
yes.
of 12, and there was a pretty good amount of. Remember, 2020 messed up everything, and it messed up seasons, and it messed up whole animes, and there's a lot of stuff that I hope they go back and fix it and that. But all right, so tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, same bat channel. We are here. It's Meet the Host. We will be live, and we're not gonna get. We're saying it's a 30-minute show, but we're not really getting that specific on how long it's actually gonna be. It'll just be, are there anyone asking us any questions? Because it's still a relatively new show, and so we'll play it by ear. But we will be here tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And I look forward to getting to introduce myself and for Hussein to introduce himself. And we can talk about what created the show and how it came about and all that. I'm looking forward to getting some time to explain all that.
Okay.
You got anything at the
We will.
last?
We will completely do that tomorrow, and we will hopefully get to tell the audience about the story, how we came, and how Anime Analyst started, and hopefully we can get some audience there to ask some questions if they
So
have in their mind.
we will see you tomorrow night. Otherwise, we'll be back on, well, Monday's a holiday. So we have another 30-minute show planned for, because it's Labor Day, and that's a big one. So you're getting another 30-minute show on Monday, and then Tuesday we'll be back to our 10-minute show. So you have a good evening, and we will see you here at Anime Analyst. I'm your host, Thomas Fry,
And I'm your co-host Hasnan Zadi.
and we'll see you next time.